Hi.
Oh,
Hello, hello, viewers, explorers. I hope that each of you are well, exploring new things, new ways of relating to others, exploring places near and afar. I have a panel of exceptional plush, Plush, size women who are also fat, and fat means fabulous attitudes too. We are going to discuss a whole conversation about this fat shaming that's going on in the media and social media, the lack of self-control that we're told we don't have, the standards, how we should lower our standards. We should wait to lose weight to find someone, a love partner. Please let me introduce my panel. I'm going to give you a detail about each of them because I think it's important that you know who these exceptional plus size women are. So I'm going to start to my left with Miss Kesha Chapman. She is a not-for-profit administrator, an entrepreneur, a woman after God's own heart. I have Miss Regina. She's not, first of all, she's not new to the channel. You should have seen several. If you have not checked out our videos, she and I talked about our experience in Dubai and Abu Dhabi together. She is a special education administrator. She is one of those women you meet for the first time and you find yourself pouring your whole heart and giving her all the intimate details about your life. That's Miss Regina. Then we have Miss Des Bonner, Miss Bonner. She is the slay queen for crochet. She's a special education teacher as well. She's a mother, she's a wife. She's an extraordinary woman that I've known for maybe 3 or 4 years from her doing my hair, and we just grew a bond. The next person we have that's gracing our presence is Dr. Blaire. She's a psychologist, licensed or certified. Is
had
it
to
the
unmute myself. It would be licensed, but I go by Doctor of Clinical Psychology simply because it's different per state. It just helps it for legal reasons for people to understand it across the state. But they have so many legalities, you wouldn't believe why. But I go by Doctor in Clinical Psychology.
Okay, she's a millennial. She has a contagious attitude and smile. I met her through my sister's church in Chicago, and I just wanted to introduce you to this extraordinary group of women. We are going to thank you, first ladies, for agreeing to be a part of this conversation. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
We are going to lean right into this topic. And how many of us have grew up smaller, grew up thinner? Just anybody? Just one person? Okay. You grew up thinner than you are now? Has anybody grown up thinner than what they are now?
Yeah.
Okay. I grew up thinner, always a plus size person. So I don't know the other side of not being a plus size lady. I don't know what that looks like. Um, has anybody dated as a plus size woman? I know Miss Bonner, you're married. Anybody dated as a plus size woman?
Absolutely.
You want to share that experience, especially if you have thinner friends. I'm going to say I've had smaller friends. So why this question? I've had smaller friends. Um, one in particular, when I first got married at age 22, she didn't understand why I was chosen because I was the plus size friend and she was the small friend. And all of the men were attracted to her. So, how did you get chosen first over me? So, have you all had any, just responses, any experiences with that piece of it? Okay, you should.
Yes, I have. I actually have a friend that at one time she was plush as growing up. And then at that time, I was 97 pounds graduating from high school. So I definitely was on miniature compared to then. But as we grew up and we got married, I got married for the first time and I got thicker or more plush. she I don't get it, girl. I don't get it. Yeah, I don't really understand why when we step out and we go out, I mean, people are just a magnet to you. You know, I mean, what do you have? So, it kind of became at that time she had become a thinner person. So it just kind of like we switched swap places, but she seemed to have taken it a little personal that men were becoming more magnetic towards me. So I kind of didn't understand it, and today I still don't. But um, I think sometimes it's just all in your personality and how you carry yourself.
Absolutely.
I want to piggyback what you said, Des and Mo. For the women to come at you guys like that, I think that's not even really a friend. Because if anything, you get, like you said, you got married, and the first thing they should be happy for you. They should be happy that that you found the love of your life, not comparing themselves, body wise to, well, why I don't have a man yet, or why I haven't, been asked to be married yet. I don't get that. And I have grown up, I have always been the big girl. You know, my nickname is Big Gina. And everybody sees me as the big girl. And just recently, not recently, but in 2012, I had gastric bypass. So I'm not even at my largest that I used to be in 2012. But even at my largest, I was in a relationship then. But it's also the way you carry yourself. Like you said, this, it's the personality that you have. Skinny or not, you have to have that personality and step in with that, that aura of that I'm that chick and this is me. And I think a lot of women does not have that, they don't have that confidence. And so our weight, they look at that as an attack. They're going to hit our weight first because that's the first thing that people see about us, other than our color. But yeah, you see our weight first. And I think for you two ladies to go through that and experience that, they really wasn't friends in the first place.
That's an interesting perspective. What do you think? So another thing we see, and we see this with Lizzo. I know she's not the example I would like to use, but people don't understand, how can you be happy if you carry an extra weight? So society has equated happiness with a smaller figure. So how are you happy, and how are you even getting men? I heard one lady say, I think women that are overweight should focus in on losing weight before they try to find a relationship or want to be in a relationship. Thoughts about that?
I've heard that before. I've heard it from women. I've heard it from men. And I've heard it from ministers said out of the pulpit to people in front of a congregation. I know that was my facial expression too, like, what? So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit because I agree with Regina. I think it really comes down to that confidence outside of your personality. Before you can even walk in your fullness and walk in what you are identifying yourself as and really owning what your personality is, you've got to be confident and believe in yourself, regardless of what you look like, who you are, your skin, your hair, your body size, your body shape. It doesn't matter. It comes down to really being okay with who you are and owning that. And so when we hear statements like, oh, well, you probably should lose a little weight before you go after that long life goal of love and things of that nature. I think a lot of times people are not only speaking from their own skewed values of what life is supposed to look like, but sometimes it's coming from people's own insecurity and projecting it off on to you. And so it comes to, again, if you are in a place where you're confident, when people say things about you that you know that are not true, you're able to say, oh, okay, well, maybe they're having a rough day, but I know that that's not me. So I'm not even going to respond to that statement. But if you're in a place where you're going to allow that to impact you, or you are still in a place where those things are impacting, those negative words are impacting you, and it can hurt relatively deeply for a lot of people. I really want to shift around to focusing on what can we do for ourselves. Forget about what people are saying, forget about what people are thinking, because they're always going to think and say something, always, forever, no matter how you look and how you feel about yourself. People are always going to have something to say. So how can we get to the place where we're able to walk in our fullness and be confident in who we are and who God made us to be?
Absolutely.
I actually would like to speak to that because for me, I didn't start off doing a lot of dating because my self-esteem was horrible. And I saw it from a perspective, even at a young age, that how can I put an expectation for someone to love me when I don't love myself? I wanted to take the time to value the wonderfully and fearfully made creation God took his time to make. I wanted to appreciate who I was, appreciate what all he built inside of me. So I did not focus on dating. I was not even concerned about it because I needed to fall in love with myself. People say that all the time. But at some point in time, when I realized I was the bomb.com diggity, and it showed, it showed, in my confidence. And then that's when the attraction started. It was amazing to me because I honestly was that one that was like, no one's gonna find me attractive because I am not the average girl. I'm not the average size or shape. So if it happens, it happens. But it took me having that time for myself to see me the way God sees me and honor myself the way God honors me, and respect the artistry in which He took time to build for me to be who I was and am. It wasn't until I took the time to recognize and respect His artistry, before I started looking into the dating world. I had to acknowledge that first. Um, and I think once you acknowledge that, it shows in your interaction. It shows in how you talk. It shows in how you interact with others. You walk a little different. You stand a little different. You present yourself a little bit different because you're confident. There's nothing anyone can say that's going to take away from what God created you to be. So that helped me.
That's right. You're right. And I don't care what size you are. If you haven't come to grips with loving yourself first, then you shouldn't be seeking love. And I like that Michael Baisden, he had a quote just today that says, no man can stand a disrespectful woman, no matter how beautiful she is. Your beauty is a waste under your character if your character is ugly. And I think no matter what size you are, it's about your character. And I think with that, when you have a good character, because I've had a lot of men that say, you are really confident for a plus size woman. And why did you have to add that in? Should I not be confident because I'm a plus size woman? And I think that's what society is saying. We should walk around. And there's so many women that do with this lowered self-esteem, no value in themselves, because we've let society say that your value is worth. It's put on your size. It's put on your complexion, it's put on your hair, it's put on your job title, and none of that stuff matters. Next question is, how are you all feeling about, or do you even hear any of the fat shaming that's going on, or what's happening? Are you associated with any young people that are, because believe it or not, and I think Taraji P. Henson just had a show on how I didn't think Black girls really went through bulimia. I didn't think that was a thing for Black girls, but she just had a show with Gabrielle Sidibe about this. Is it, what's your take on that? What's your take on this fat shaming?
I can jump in there. Body image is something that we all, no matter what demographic group you belong to, we all have to adhere to some type of body image identity that we all go through. And I think the thing that happens in the Black community is that for some reason we think, oh, well, those are problems that the other folks deal with. We don't deal with those problems. And that's not true. It just may not necessarily look the way that we see it on TV, or it doesn't look like mainstream is talking about it. It's different for us, and we have different cultural values. And unfortunately, then we end up missing an area that we need to focus on with our young girls and our young boys, of being able to feel confident in who God made them to be, just like you spoke about. And that ends up shifting how you receive love as well. And it can deteriorate so many relationships when you are feeling insecure in who you are. So I appreciate that people are starting to focus a little bit more on allowing people to be themselves, instead of focusing so much on be this thing that we created. when it's not about what you created, it's about what God created. And we can walk in that and really own up to who he wanted us to be. It creates this image for me that God is like, hey, I got this thing over here for you. You like, no, I'm good, God. I want this over here because they talking about that. I'm gonna go check this out real quick. And we're gonna run over there. And it creates this distance from our purpose and this other purpose that we decided to choose. And so we just end up running away from it our whole lives. And honestly, if you think about it, it's scary if we continue to do stuff like that. It's scary, and it can really distort a lot of things throughout life. So I appreciate that things like conversations like this can shift away from that. And we have no idea when we talk about people in a negative way, how much that can impact themselves internally and how much it contributes to that running away from who I'm called to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I know that was an issue for me at one time. Being just a kid that just really did everything alone, played by myself, did all these things by myself, and then and a country girl coming from Mississippi, and then coming to St. Louis into a community where I could throw, I could literally lean out my bedroom window and touch my neighbor's house. It's like people so close and have such close proximity. So coming to St. Louis, it was very challenging for me because first of all, I was only in the fifth grade, but I was the tallest girl in the whole school, and it went to sixth grade. But I was one of the thinnest girls in the school. So, and I had really, really long hair. So kids would ridicule me. Too Tall Jones, Stanky Lanky, all these different names. Over time, I had to grow to become comfortable in the skin that I was in, knowing that, but I felt ashamed. So why did I blame myself? Why did I blame myself for something that someone else imposed on me, a thought? So in the Black community, and I can say Black community, and say that sometimes we have a shame. We have it's focused on the inside because we don't want anybody to know our secret.
Exactly.
We don't want anybody to know that we're ashamed of how other people feel about us, because after a while we begin to feel that way about ourselves. So being that little kid, I didn't know how to handle that. But as I grew older, I realized, maybe I'm going to have to do some things to make myself look different. I'm going to have to dress better. I'm going to have to stand out in the crowd. I'm going to have this forward personality. I'm going to have to make myself look bigger than life. So for a long time, I played that game with myself. And I want to say I played that game from being a little kid all the way into my 30s. That's a long time to play the same old tired game, hiding from who you are and not realizing that God made you, Desiree, to be Desiree. And this is just okay for you to be yourself. So something happened to me. I think God just spoke to me. And as real as I'm saying this conversation to you, I can hear him say, humble yourself and know who you are. And when I tell you I cried for 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm steadily packing that suitcase, but I'm going to tell you that wardrobe that went into that suitcase changed. It changed to be the person that I was. And when I say that suitcase, I don't mean just that physical suitcase. I mean that internal suitcase, that luggage I had been hauling around, all that baggage. I'm telling you, I became a brand new woman. And also getting to the point about what other people think. I think sometimes people inquire or question your the validity of you wanting a relationship and the validity of you having a relationship, not as an inquiry of concern, but as a way of ridicule.
Yeah.
We never know how people are having their own baggage, which imposes it on you. So in that sense, like I said, I carried baggage for 30 some years. So baby, hiding was a good thing for me.
Yeah.
You know, having to hide from who I was, what I wanted to be, who I wanted to be, who I wanted to be with. Because the choice of mates also came into play in that 30 some years because I got married at the age of 19 the
Okay.
first time. So the woman he knew is definitely not the woman he would see today. As a matter of fact, he would be quite impressed.
Yeah.
If I say so myself.
Right.
So
I would say so too.
so do you understand what I'm saying? It's like the hiding is baggage that Black women we carry.
Yeah.
We carry it around.
But Ray, that also goes, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that also goes into who nurtured you, who nurtured that spirit inside of you growing up. It starts off as a kid. And so when you moved in from Mississippi to Missouri, and once you was getting those negative things coming into your head, somebody should have been around you, you know, to feed in the positivity. No, you are beautiful. You need to step at them like this, or you know, it's about how what we are fed mentally and spiritually, about the way we see ourselves. You're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. That starts at day one. And it reminds me of my grandfather. My when I was younger, their youngest child came in, I think from college one day, and she had all her hair cut off, you know, the stacked hairstyles or whatever. And I looked up to my aunt and I was just wow, you know, that's so bold. And his first words was, why would you do that? Don't no man want a woman who's bald headed. And so it's like that right there, now that I'm older and I see, okay, that wasn't the right thing for you to say. Because when she walked in, I see she got this fly, fresh, you know, hairstyle. And I want that. You know, even I'm in elementary school, I'm a kid. I want that. I'm looking up at, oh, is she rocking now? Can she be bold to do that? And for you to come and hit her with something so negative, I know we're talking about weight, but that was the things that he would do because, but once again, that's what he feels. That's what he sees. But then again, you're not the man that's supposed to, you know, want me in that sense. I'm not trying to flatter you in that sense. I'm doing this for me. And you shouldn't say that you know, I'm bald head now. And if I was bald head, okay, all right, you know, but it's about feeding, you know, that inner spirit of beauty, and it starts from day one. Start from day one.
Regina, you just said, oh, I'm sorry. Go.
I was just gonna say it does start from day one, and on the opposite end, it starts from day one. Because I can think of times when I was in the store with my grandmother, and she's, you know, looking at herself in the mirror, and you could tell she's not necessarily feeling positive thoughts, and would then get home and say, "Oh, child, I need to lose weight." Like those are those silent messages, even though it's not necessarily to me directly. Even though it's not necessarily about me or other people, I heard her saying things like that about herself. And so those become things that we pick up along the way of how we start to view ourselves because we're looking at the people that are like us that are around. So I think that people can pour in positivity all day long, but it also has a lot to do with the negative thoughts that they feel about yourself and you about themselves and you seeing the likeness that you have about them. So it goes a little, I agree with you, and it goes beyond them pouring positivity in us. I think that it also has a lot to do with negative thoughts that they feel about themselves. We inherit.
Now we see more of a body positivity and plus size models. And we see a little bit more of that than when I grew up. That wasn't a thing, right? That was
Why
not.
did it take so long? Why did it take so long when the country is more plus size than thin? Why did it take so long for us to be recognized in the media?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it takes so long because for one, so we have to look at the ideal people in this country are white men, right? The powers to be are white men, and you have white women, Black men, Black women. So if the white man idolizes the size 2 model, then that's who the images we're going to get. If it's the blonde hair and the blue eyes, these are the images in which we're going to see in the media. Part of the problem that I have with especially the Black community, we really don't have time to just talk about beauty on the outside. We have got to start to talk about some characteristics that are lasting in life. So when you turn on everything, even on YouTube, and I find myself thinking too, everything is a beauty channel. Everything is how to flawlessly put on your makeup, how to apply this beautiful wig, how to put on a waist trainer. And there's nothing, let me put a disclaimer for the viewers. I understand, and every lady up here understands, that the more weight you carry, the more health risks you can possibly have. We're not saying that we advocate having a lot of extra weight. We know the health risks, but we have to be realistic about what's happening in the images in which we're putting forth to our young girls and what we're saying to them. But nobody's talking about how do you build a good character? How do you build a personality that is pleasing not just to God, but pleasing to your fellow man that you're with every day? I want you to know, young lady, you're beautiful. And more importantly, make sure your inside is beautiful, not just the outside. You can switch up your makeup.
Thank you, Explorers, for watching part 1. Don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments. We want to hear from you. If you have any questions, we will address them. I think that you will enjoy part 2 even better. So lead into part 2 with us.